Final lap 4. Numbskull with a 2-point lead over KC will start this one behind him. Deacon and Dark on the inside. Let's go. Deacon first out of the 90, and KC says, I'll take that. Onto the bridge, and here comes Numbskull. Up the whoops around Coit Hill. KC extending the lead. And he's sideways. Numbskull gets into him. Deacon into third. Dark goes over. Across the Bixby Bridge. And KC's around again. Deacon into him. Numbskull into him. And they're all going to come to a stop right about there. In association with Treetops Raceway Park, Funkhauser Diecast Racing League, and Tiny Track Cars, this is Bay City Diecast Racing, and this is the National Super Truck Series at the new Bay City Speedway, brought to you by Merch by Meekin. My name is Daryl, and I'll be your host. Special thanks to our track sponsors, Rust Belt Customs and Spullheads Racing. Find them both on Facebook. Quick correction to last week's video. I'd mistakenly said we would crown a champion here at Bay City. However, the tournament format has the top 4 in points after today's groups returning to Treetops Raceway Park for an 8-lap winner-take-all. Can't wait to see that. All right, folks, let's get to it. It's time to meet our drivers for Group 3 of the National Super Truck Series at Bay City. First up and in the pole position, in the 1963 Studebaker, from American Outlaw Racing, it's Outlaw. Outside front row, in the number 88 Draftnator, driving for Milestone Racing, it's Dusty Miles. Inside back row, driving for Filipiak Performance Diecast Racing, in the number 28 Draftnator, this is Killa Kowalski. Finally, outside back row, the number 0 Draftnator, driving for the Cash Money Boys. Who do you think you are? I am. It's Cash Money himself. Up top, beautiful Bay City Speedway for lap 1. Outlaw on the pole, Dusty Miles outside. And we're racing. Pack tied into the first crossover. Outlaw with a car length advantage. He'll take that to the top of Coit Hill. Miles into second. Kowalski into third. Across the Bay City Bridge. Outlaw past the Painted Ladies and headed down. Oh my God! Outlaw off the track. Dusty Miles into the lead. Kowalski right behind him. Cash Money goes by. And that'll be your finishing order. Dusty Miles across with a lap time of 10.29. I think our fast time last video was a 9.35 by Mr. Dark. And folks, no amount of track testing can truly prepare you or the track for the sheer speed of these castings coming from the best builders throughout the world, and this is a prime example. Also keep in mind that these trucks are on their 4th stop on the same graphite or whatever jet fuel Outlaw uses. Front row got out early, and Outlaw was only able to open up about a truck length until the top of the hill and watch Kowalski slide right into the 3rd spot. Outlaw with that huge lead, the rest were battling it out, and then blammo, Outlaw takes out a palm tree. Sheesh, that could have been way worse. Dusty Miles, open door, insert foot, takes advantage and pretty much coasts on in, and the others were gaining. Back up top, lap 2, Dusty Miles slides to the pole and welcomes himself to the front, Outlaw and Killa to the back. Gate drops, here we go. Dusty Miles shoots out early, and he'll lead us to the Golden State Bridge. Inside lane flies up the hill. Across the Bay City Bridge. Miles a little loose, and Outlaw on the inside and into the lead around the Palace. This time he makes it through downtown and down to the home stretch. And Outlaw will capture lap 2, followed closely by Dusty Miles. I can hear our other 2 coming. And Killa Kowalski coasts across for 3rd. Cash Money himself right behind. Outlaw with a respectable time of 10.03. That'll give Miles a 3-point advantage after 2 races. And taking a look at the replay, Miles with a slight lead across the bridge that Outlaw erased by the hilltop. Miles was able to stretch the lead again, but gets just loose enough for Outlaw, and that's all he needs. And this time he makes the downtown section look easy. Foundation lap 3. Cash Money himself to the pole. Kowalski works his way to the front. Miles and Outlaw in the rear. There's the green. Around the bank 90, and Kowalski slowly grows the lead into the crossover and down the bridge. Outlaw right there with them up the hill, but Cash Money in the second at the merge. All 4 cars flying across the bridge and towards the Painted Ladies. Around the Palace and downtown, all kinds of contact across the Big Tree Bridge and down the home stretch. And Killa Kowalski will hang on as Cash Money gets spun across the line. Outlaw in for third. Dusty Miles across with a disappointing finish. Kowalski with a track time of 10.42, and that's going to vault Kowalski into the lead heading into the final lap. Cash Money with about a half a lead for a half a second, but once Kowalski hit the bridge, he was gone. And it looked like Outlaw was coming with him, but watch the inside lane here. Almost both squeeze in front of Outlaw before the merge. Cash Money looks for a way around Kowalski, Outlaw looks for a way around Cash Money, and they battled all the way to the line. This is it, folks. Final lap 4. Kowalski clinging to a 1-point lead, but technically all 4 drivers still in this race. And there they go, around the divided 90 and through the vineyard. Even to the bridge, and Outlaw grabbed the lead up Coit Hill. Kowalski dives into second place, Miles into third. Down the bridge towards the ladies, Outlaw's loose, Kowalski into him, and Outlaw helicopters and keeps the lead. Through downtown across Bixby, and somehow, someway, Outlaw will win this lap. Kowalski holds off a hard-charging Miles for second, himself across for fourth. Wow. But check out this replay, because this was Kowalski's race to lose, and for a second there, he dropped all the way back to third. But watch the inside lane here around the hilltop just catch Dusty Miles sleeping. But this, folks, probably the coolest thing so far at the new Speedway. A near upside-down 360 helicopter slash full roamy slash Bay City Delight slash I was inverted. If you have a new name, let me know in the comments. But for now, we'll just call it badass. Let's take a look at our final scores, and although there's no group winners, did these drivers accumulate enough points to get them into the top 4 to move on to the finals? We'll find out at the end of the show. And I know you've all been wondering, Daryl, how can I get my own customized canopy? Well, I'm glad you asked. If you already have your own art, get it on over to Rust Belt Customs, and for just $8, they will custom design a canopy using your logo and provide you with a digital copy so you can make as many as you'd like at home. This fee also assures you'll have a canopy at Bay City Speedway as well. Don't have your own logo? Don't worry. For a small additional fee, one can be created for you. Let's meet our drivers for Group 4. First up on the pole position, in the number 43 Draftnator. Driving for Feral Mods, this is Feral Patrick. See, these guys have their own canopies. Outside front row in the number 21 Draftnator. Driving for Vapor Diecast Racing, it's Sneaky Bob. Driving the number 29 1996 Chevy 1500. For Puffs Racing,
Puff, yeah.
It's Puff.
Puff, yeah.
And finally, outside back row, in the number 83 Draftnator, driving for DeFosse Family Racing, this is Rosemarie. One more time up north to wine country, Feral Patrick on the pole next to Sneaky Bob, Puff and Rosemarie in the rear. Gage Ross, we're racing. Around the 90 into the vineyards, Puff losing ground, Feral Patrick first on and off the Golden State Bridge and up the Coit Hill. And folks, Feral Patrick is taking no prisoners as he opens up a huge lead. Through the downtown section clean, across the Bixby Bridge and down the home stretch. Feral Patrick across the line first, Sneaky Bob in for second, Rosemarie a close third. Feral Patrick with a track time of 10.43, and I can hear Puff coming around the mountain, but he decides that's a good place to stop. Feral Patrick with an impressive gate to checkered run here, reminiscent of the Bug Bash. Rest in peace, Old Bay City. Sneaky Bob and Rosemarie doing their best to keep pace, and Puff,
yeah.
barely makes his way over the hill on the inside lane. But from there was the Feral Patrick show as he just dismantled this course literally from top to bottom. Rosemarie, though, looks like never left the rear bumper of Sneaky Bob. We'll keep an eye on that matchup as well. And then there's Puff. Back up top lap 2, we'll move him one spot clockwise, putting Sneaky Bob on the pole next to Rosemarie, Feral Patrick, and Puff in the rear. And there they go. Sneaky Bob with a small lead through the vineyards, pulling Feral Patrick with him. Rosemarie right there with them as they round Coit Hill, and here they come. Across the Bay City Bridge, FP tapping at the back door of Sneaky Bob, and there he goes! Feral Patrick with a beautiful pass down the home stretch to the John Aubrey National Park. Feral Patrick takes lap 2 with a time of 10.27, followed by Sneaky Bob, and I think that's gonna do it. We're looking at our first double DNF. Rosemarie backwards at the Bixby Bridge exit. And there's Puff up there. It looks like he found him another spot to pull over. Let's take a look at the replay. A sneaky Bob from that pole position was getting a lot of heat from Farrell Patrick all the way to the open lane, and we saw what happened to Puff. That outside lane up there is tough, and anything that'll rub that outside retaining wall will slow you down. But this pass, though. Farrell Patrick will pick up another 5 points, Sneaky Bob another 3, and let's go to race 3. We've got Rosemarie finally taking her turn on the pole. Puff on the outside could use some good news as well. Sneaky Bob and Farrell Patrick in the back, and here we go. Rosemarie first out of the 90 and through the vineyard. Puff and Sneaky Bob even into the crossover and up the hill. Bob into second as Rosemarie across the bridge and towards the Palace 180. Into downtown. Little loose on Bixby, and here comes Bob. Into the back of Rosemarie, but she will hold on to take lap 3 with a time of 10.82. Sneaky Bob in for second, Puff in for third, and Farrell Patrick will close us out. Oh, and it's going to come down to it, folks, as Rosemarie has put herself in a great position and things are tightening up on the leaderboard. Rosemarie with a lap 3 gate to checkered win here. That seems to be a trend, at least with these trucks. That third lap pole sitter finally getting their shot and proving they're just as fast as the front row. Not real sure what Farrell Patrick was doing back there, but the fact that he's back there acting a fool and not even trying to pass an obviously one-off Puff build and costing himself a point tells me he knows exactly what he's doing. Final lap 4, Puff comes all the way around to the pole. Farrell Patrick back in front, Rosemarie and Sneaky Bob in the rear. And for one last time, the National Super Truck Series take to Bay City Speedway. Farrell Patrick with the lead. Farrell Patrick with a big lead. Farrell Patrick with a huge lead. And he turns it around in front of the ladies. There's no one around. But here comes Sneaky Bob. They touch. And that bump is going to propel Farrell Patrick literally to a lap 4 win. Sneaky Bob across for second, Puff for third, and Rosemarie rounds us out. Farrell Patrick across with a time of 10.79. Well, folks, what a great showing here for the National Super Truck Series as it passes through Bay City. A great way to break in the new track and work out some bugs. Thanks to all of these builders for participating. And in just a moment, we'll find out the point totals of this group, as well as announce the top 4 drivers in total points that'll be moving on to the finals at Treetops Raceway Park. And I have a feeling the yellow one right there may be one of them. All right, here we go, and with 16 points, Farrell Patrick takes the group, Sneaky Bob with 12. Thanks for coming. All right, folks, here are your top 4 headed back to Michigan to compete in an 8-lap final at Treetops Raceway Park. Sneaky Bob just edging out Numbskull and Dusty Miles for that final spot. Thanks again to our sponsors, Merch by Meekin, Rust Belt Customs, and Spoolheads. Stay tuned for our next event, the debut of the Top 3 TURVY, an ongoing tournament that everyone can be a part of. Link to the race in the description. This has been a presentation of Bay City Diecast Racing. My name is Daryl, and I've been your host. Have a good night, everybody.